Independent mechanics are now refusing to work on vehicles built after 2014. Not because they can't, but because the manufacturers have made it a legal and financial trap. This is not a rumor. This is not a forum conspiracy. This is a coordinated business strategy, already embedded in millions of vehicles sitting in driveways across the country right now, and almost nobody who bought one was told about it. Here is what is actually happening inside the automotive industry, and why the people who know these vehicles best have made a very deliberate decision to walk away from anything built in the last decade. For most of automotive history, owning a vehicle meant exactly that. You bought it, you owned it. You could take it to any shop, use any part, and fix it any way you chose. The manufacturer's involvement ended the moment you drove off the lot. That era is over. Starting around 2014, manufacturers began engineering their vehicles the same way Silicon Valley engineers smartphones, as closed ecosystems designed to ensure that every dollar of every repair flows back through their own system. The technology to do it existed. The financial incentive was enormous, and the legal framework to protect it was already in place inside the purchase agreements that millions of buyers signed without reading. Independent mechanics were the first to feel it, and the ones paying attention started making a different choice. The first weapon in the manufacturer's arsenal is called component locking, and once you understand how it works, you will never look at a parts store the same way again. Take a 2021 Ford F-150. The factory radio dies. There is a perfectly good identical radio sitting in a wrecked F-150 at the local junkyard. Same year, same trim, same part number stamped on the housing. A mechanic pulls it, bolts it in, turns the key. Nothing. Not because the part is defective, not because it was installed incorrectly, because that radio was digitally married to the original truck's VIN number at the factory. It has been coded, permanently, to one specific vehicle. And the only way to make it work in a different truck is to contact the manufacturer, hand over money, and have an authorized dealer run a software authorization sequence. A $40 junkyard part, hundreds of dollars to unlock it, in a vehicle the customer already owns. This is not limited to radios. It is spreading across climate control modules, instrument clusters, body control modules, door handle assemblies with integrated electronics, and increasingly, safety-critical components. Mechanics call it parts pairing. Manufacturers call it security. The result is the same either way. A parts market that was once open, competitive, and affordable has been converted into a toll road with the manufacturer collecting at every gate. The second strategy goes deeper, because this one does not just affect individual repairs. It affects every independent shop in the country simultaneously. Since 1996, federal law has required every vehicle sold in the United States to include a standardized diagnostic port, the OBD2 port located under the dashboard. For nearly 3 decades, that port was the great equalizer. Any mechanic with any scanner could plug in, read the vehicle's fault codes, and know exactly where to begin. A $30 scanner from a parts store spoke the same language as a $3,000 professional unit. The playing field was level. Then the manufacturers installed a bouncer. Starting around 2018, major automakers began placing what is called a secure gateway module between the OBD2 port and the rest of the vehicle's electronic network. The port still exists. The scanner still plugs in. But the gateway blocks communication, unless the scanner has been authenticated by the manufacturer's proprietary software. To access that software, to actually communicate with the vehicle's systems, independent shops must pay. Stellantis, the parent company of Ram, Jeep, and Dodge, requires a paid subscription. General Motors followed, BMW, Mercedes-Benz. The fees run into thousands of dollars annually, not for parts, not for tools, simply for permission to diagnose a vehicle that a customer brought in for help. And even when a shop pays, the access is not permanent. It is time-limited, temporary. The moment the subscription lapses, the scanner goes dark again. A mechanic who has spent 20 years mastering diagnostics now cannot see what is wrong with a modern vehicle, not because the knowledge is missing, but because the manufacturer has placed a paywall between the scanner and the car. The third layer of this strategy is the one that most directly explains the prices customers see at dealership service counters, and it was borrowed directly from the technology industry. When Apple releases an iPhone, independent repair shops face a specific problem. Apple controls the parts supply. Apple controls the software required to activate those parts. Apple controls which shops are authorized to perform which repairs. The result is a repair monopoly, and Apple charges accordingly. Automotive manufacturers looked at that model and recognized something valuable. A vehicle is now a software platform first and a mechanical device second. And software platforms, unlike mechanical devices, can be locked. Here is the real-world consequence. A parking sensor on a modern vehicle, the physical component, costs approximately $60 at any parts supplier. The labor to replace it is under an hour. At a fair independent shop rate, the total repair lands somewhere between $150 and $200. At the dealership, that same repair routinely runs $1,200 to $1,500. The part did not change. The labor did not change. What changed is that after the physical installation, the sensor must be calibrated and authorized through software that only the dealership has access to. Without that authorization, the sensor does not function. The customer has no alternative. The dealership knows it, and the price reflects that knowledge. This pattern repeats across every electronically integrated system on a modern vehicle. Advanced driver assistance calibration, airbag module replacement, transmission software updates, key programming, window regulator replacement on vehicles with integrated door electronics. The physical repair is straightforward. The software authorization is the product being sold, and the manufacturer holds the exclusive license. The fourth development is the one that shifts this conversation from frustrating to genuinely alarming, because it means the control manufacturers have over modern vehicles does not end at the point of sale. It continues indefinitely, through a cellular connection that never switches off. Modern vehicles are not just computers on wheels. They are connected computers on wheels. Built-in cellular modems maintain a constant link between the vehicle and the manufacturer's servers. That connection enables navigation updates, remote start features, and emergency services, capabilities that are real and genuinely useful. It also enables something else entirely. General Motors has already demonstrated the outer boundary of this capability. After selling vehicles to customers, after money changed hands and titles transferred, GM pushed an over-the-air software update that removed automatic emergency braking from those vehicles. A safety feature that buyers believed they owned disappeared silently, overnight, without warning and without compensation. BMW took a different approach. Rather than removing features after purchase, they began selling vehicles with heated seat elements physically installed in the seat. The hardware is present, the wiring is connected, but the functionality locked behind a monthly subscription of approximately $18. The seat can heat. The software will not allow it to until the recurring payment clears. Toyota, General Motors, and others have moved towards similar subscription architectures for features ranging from remote start to enhanced navigation to advanced safety monitoring. For mechanics, the specific danger of permanent connectivity is this. An over-the-air update can reach into a vehicle after an independent repair has been completed and undo it. Calibrations get reset, software flags get raised, aftermarket components get flagged as unauthorized. A repair that was correct, complete, and functional on Tuesday can be compromised by a manufacturer update pushed on Wednesday, with no notification and no recourse. The vehicle is connected to a company, with a direct financial interest in sending it back to the dealership. That connection is always on. Now here is what the mechanics who understand all of this are actually doing about it. There is a specific window of automotive history that professionals have identified, roughly 1996 to 2014. And vehicles built inside that window are being actively sought, carefully maintained, and deliberately driven by the people who understand modern vehicles better than anyone. The reason that window exists comes down to two boundaries. The lower boundary is 1996. That is the year OBD2 diagnostics became federally mandated across all vehicles sold in the United States. Every vehicle made after that date carries a standardized diagnostic system that any scanner can read without permission, without a subscription, and without manufacturer authorization. A fault code is a fault code. The language is universal. The upper boundary is approximately 2014. That is when cellular connectivity, secure gateway modules, and VIN-lock parts pairing began appearing in production vehicles at scale. Before that threshold, the computer systems in vehicles were capable and sophisticated, but they were not weaponized against the owner. A replacement part worked because it was the correct part. A scanner communicated because communication was the point. A 2008 Toyota Tacoma will run 300,000 miles on basic maintenance and honest mechanical attention. A 2003 Ford F-250 diesel can be rebuilt in a home garage with hand tools and a factory service manual. A 2005 Chevrolet Tahoe does not phone home. It does not require a subscription to operate the features that were installed when it was built. When a component fails, the replacement component functions, because functionality was never contingent on manufacturer approval. That is what these vehicles represent to the mechanics who choose them. Not nostalgia, not sentiment, mechanical honesty. The systems do what they appear to do. The ownership is real. Here is the conclusion that professionals in this industry have reached. A modern vehicle sold at $65,000 is not a truck with a software system inside it. It is a software platform with a truck built around it. The price buys access. The manufacturer retains control. And that control, over parts, over diagnostics, over features, over the repairs that are authorized and the ones that are not, does not expire. The right to repair movement is working to change this through legislation, and those efforts matter. Several states have passed laws requiring manufacturers to provide diagnostic access to independent shops. Federal legislation has been proposed. The legal landscape is shifting, slowly, in the direction of the consumer. But the protections are not yet comprehensive. The laws that exist are being contested, worked around, and in some cases ignored by manufacturers with the resources to fight them at every level. Until those protections are universal and enforceable, the mechanics who have spent their careers inside these systems are making the same calculation and arriving at the same answer. Know what is in the purchase agreement before signing it. Understand who retains control of the software in the vehicle being purchased. And consider seriously whether a vehicle built before the digital lockdown era, one that can be diagnosed without a subscription, repaired with parts that work because they fit, and maintained without manufacturer permission, represents a better form of ownership than the alternative. The people who know these vehicles best already have. If this raised questions about a vehicle already in the driveway, or one being considered right now, drop the year and model in the comments. The right to repair fight is far from over, and there is a great deal more to cover. Subscribe to stay with this conversation. And if someone in a circle of friends or family is about to sign on a new vehicle, share this with them first. They deserve to know what they are actually buying.